Hey everyone, so this is my literacy timeline. That's a picture of me, obviously, and I would say my definition of reading, just going throughout my life and reflecting back on my past experiences, reading is the action of seeing and identifying words on paper and using what we know about these words to comprehend what is being said, and I think that builds off our ability to see and identify letters and symbols. Um, and their combinations and using what we know about those to form words, and from there then on we're using those words to form sentences and building off from that. um, and just going throughout my life, I have three siblings. I'm the youngest, the third youngest. um, and so throughout my life, when my parents would read us stories, it would be like varying age ranges. Like we'd read younger books for my younger brother, and then she'd read some books for older girls for me and my sisters. But a lot of what we read was Dr. Seuss, as I'm sure a lot of people have, just because they had a lot of pictures. They have good messages in them, and I can also remember, because they were easier books, sometimes my sisters would read them to me and my brother, so that was a cool experience to use those or use them to also explain to us or read to us. Um, Love You Forever, that was a big book my mom read to us. Madeline is a big book that I enjoyed when I was younger. I even dressed up for her as her for Halloween one year. I was obsessed with that book. So these were just my experiences with my parents and my sisters reading to me. In first grade, I was obsessed with these Rainbow Magic books all the time. Every time I went to the bookstore, I bought a new one. And actually, my best friend Sarah, ironically, she also read these books, so we would go to the bookstore together. We would buy these books. We each buy a different fairy book, and then once we were done with them, we would switch and give them to each other. So that was a good way for us to like bond, and we also like discussed who our favorite one was, and then sometimes we chose which one our favorite one was, and then we acted out as them when we were younger, at each other's houses. So, and first grade was also the year that we were introduced to the AR wall, which is the accelerated reading wall. And funny enough, when I was going through Christmas card letters when I was home this past month, in one of the letters, my mom had written that I was so proud because I was the first grader on the AR wall. So that was just funny to me that we're talking about this now, and I just read about that when I was home. The Ink Spell or Inkheart trilogy was a big book I read in fifth grade. This whole trilogy, I was one of the only fifth graders to read this book, or this trilogy, because it was the first book I think had 500 pages, then the second one had 600 pages, and the next one had 700 pages. So I was really pushing myself fifth grade year, just because I pretty much read every book in that library because I was constantly there and just constantly loving to read and just sit and read. But these books were huge because I was so accomplished when I finished it, and it being a series and just a different series than the regular Harry Potter and stuff like that, was just really beneficial to me. Middle school and high school, we focused a lot on themes and like as in finding details in books. So that's what a lot with The Visit from the Goon Squad and The Great Gatsby, which I read in AP Lang. And we did a lot of projects on themes throughout the book, which my brother's very thankful for because he has all my books and they're all annotated for him. So, and then The Outsiders was a book I read in middle school and loved that book. One of my favorite books I've ever read. And moving on to college, this Teaching for Black Lives book we just used in our previous class, when we talked about Black and Brown Joy, and I actually still have the book, as well as the special education, or the Introduction to Special Education book, because that was one I used in my SPED class a couple semesters ago, and it's just a great book to look back on and see ideas and ways we can help our special needs students, or special education students in our classroom. And then Two White Rabbits is a book I read for my children's literacy class, I think 4 semesters ago, which was just all about children's books and how we can use children's books to teach our students. And then The Haunting of Hill House was another book I read, but I read that in English 1102. And our whole theme revolved around haunting and all that stuff. So that was a great way for us to pull in everything that we had learned throughout the semester into one book. So yeah.